X-Men 97 Season 2 thinks it's being so sneaky. But I'm on to you, X-Men. I'm on to you. Welcome back, everyone. We are here today to talk about X-Men 97 Season 2. We're 4 episodes in now. And I got some theories for you that I thought I would share. Honestly, I had a lot of theories as well after the first 3 episodes. But episode 4... it really leaned hard into one that I've been thinking of for a while. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, I want to know what some of your theories are for X-Men 97 this season. So let me know down in the comments below. And if there are any fun Easter eggs you've noticed, feel free to share them because I always enjoy hearing about all the little details they add in for us. There's so many good ones. Let's start off by talking about a theory that really felt strong for me because of the last episode, and that is Onslaught. We've been talking about Onslaught for a while now. I think since season 1 of X-Men 97, people were asking me, do you think we're going to see Onslaught? Is Onslaught going to appear? When are we getting Onslaught, Amanda? And obviously, you know, they don't call me. Disney doesn't phone me up, or Marvel doesn't phone me up either to say, when should we introduce Onslaught? Or anything like that. But from watching the show, with Professor X and Magneto having such a huge part of last season and this season, and especially their connection, their relationship with one another, and considering what happened at the end of episode 4 with Magneto, I have to say, I think there is a good chance we're going to be seeing Onslaught. Now, I don't know if we're going to get Onslaught at the end of this season, or if it could be teased for season 3. I'm not sure, but I definitely think they could be putting in some building blocks for this. Here's why I think that based on the last episode. Before Magneto leaves this physical plane of existence, Charles is reaching out to him, and their minds are connected. They're speaking telepathically to one another, and I do know that being connected to somebody when they pass away, based on Jean Grey's experience when she was younger, does impact people. And it can even leave a mark on you psionically. So it's possible that in that final moment, instead of it being that Charles is shutting down Magneto's mind, what if a part of Magneto's consciousness went into Charles? What if that is how we get Onslaught? And if you're wondering, who is Onslaught and why is he such a big deal anyways? Onslaught is the combined psionic force of Charles and Magneto. And he is essentially representing both of their minds if they were combined. So if you can imagine all of the power of Magneto with everything that he can do, and then all of the power of Professor X and everything he can do, and then you mash those two things up and you make them super evil, that's Onslaught, a very powerful psionic entity that has caused great problems for the X-Men in the comics. And not just the X-Men. Onslaught is such a massive villain. I would even argue that he's a bigger villain than Apocalypse in terms of him being a threat, because he caused us to have a crossover event where it wasn't just the X-Men fighting him. No. We needed pretty much heroes from across the Marvel Universe to team up to even stand a chance at defeating Onslaught. And you know what happened when that did occur, when they all came together? It still wasn't enough. And you're led to believe at the end of that fight that we lost many heroes in it. Of course, we would later find out that wasn't exactly what happened, and that all leads to Heroes Reborn. And Heroes Reborn is, I think, a really cool event in the comics. That's why I think there is a potential for us to have Onslaught here. Now, I don't know if Onslaught's going to lead to Heroes Reborn, but I will say that a lot of the heroes that you see in that crossover that are coming together to help the X-Men defeat Onslaught have kind of appeared in X-Men 97. Now, some of them have appeared because they're just there. Some of them are characters that Morph has turned into, but we have seen Captain America, we've seen Hulk, I mean, could Morph also, when he's transforming into characters, be a sign of what's to come, or is it all a coincidence? What I will say is Morph did transform into Archangel and Psylocke last season, and now those are two characters that we have in the show for season 2 who are actually out here doing stuff. So it seems possible that when the animation team is having Morph change into these other figures, it could be that they have those models because they're getting ready to use them for something else. The other thing is that Onslaught is probably the most 90s villain I can think of. He's really, really 90s. So I don't know how we do X-Men 97 without having Onslaught somewhere in the mix. I don't know how you do 90s X-Men, which is a lot of what the animated series has been based on, without having Onslaught somewhere in there. But Onslaught's not the only villain I'm thinking of this season. No, I'm thinking of a few. Another one that I'm thinking of is Stryfe. And the reason of that is because I feel like we are heading towards Executioner's Song. Now, I talked about this a little bit even just seeing the trailers, because it seemed like we had X Factor and we had X Force, and potentially they were going to be kind of against each other. They were going to be opposed to one another in their methods. And with the first 4 episodes now under our belt, I think it's safe to say that, yeah, X-Force and X-Factor do not like each other, and maybe this could lead to Executioner's Song. Cable is also a prominent character in that. And of course, we have Cable, we have Cable's connection to Apocalypse, we have Apocalypse's connection to Kang. I just feel like a lot of the pieces are making sense here. Everything is falling into order. And Stryfe is a character that shows up in Executioner's Song who is known for, well, later revealed to be the one behind the assassination attempt on Professor X. And we initially think that's Cable, but then we find out that it's his evil clone, Stryfe. And there are multiple characters that have appeared here that are making me think of other stories and other runs and other writers. And another one that I'm thinking about right now is Rick Remender. And that is because we also saw earlier on in this season the appearance of the Final Horsemen. The Final Horsemen were in part created by Rick Remender, and they appear in Uncanny X-Force. And Kang is also a character that is prominently featured in another one of his runs, Uncanny Avengers. So I don't know if we're going to get more Rick Remender stuff here, but we have X-Force. It's a different team, but we have X-Force. We have the Final Horsemen. And I mean, Kang is here. So will we get more stuff that is inspired by Remender's works? I don't know, but I think someone on the writing staff really likes his stuff. And I kind of hope we get more of it, even though it is a little later on in the timeline in terms of the comics. You know, now we're really getting into the 2010s. That's later, but still, it's possible. And I also would say, if you're curious, if you want to know, what's going on with that, and if you want to be able to go, aha, if something does happen, check out Uncanny X-Force. It's also really good. So you should just check it out because it's good. And speaking of Horsemen, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about some of my other thoughts involving the Horsemen. And one of those things is Clan Akkaba. Clan Akkaba is a secret mutant society that is made up of horsemen who are also known oftentimes to be descendants of Apocalypse. And we've already seen Ensabanur's Sandstormers, but we haven't seen any Clan Akkaba just yet, but I'm wondering if we might. Also, Apocalypse is a character who has been connected to magic through Clan Akkaba. We don't always get into that, and that is kind of more of a modern thing that was added in, I believe. But I still feel like it would be cool to plant some of those seeds here, so maybe we will see that. Either way, when it comes to horsemen, I think there is a horseman that we definitely know is coming at this point. We've seen the coffin, we've seen the card, and episode 8 is called The Dead Man's Hand. Yep, I think it's all but confirmed that Gambit is going to be our horseman of death, which I am kind of happy to see him return and kind of sad to see him return in this way. I don't know. It's going to be hard for Rogue. That's what I do know for sure. So we'll see how that shakes out, probably by episode 8, if not before. Maybe there'll be a little taste of it near the end of episode 7. Leave us on a little bit of a cliffhanger, perhaps. But that seems to be confirmed at this point. So It's less of a theory, more of a promise, I feel like. We'll see who else is going to be joining Gambit. I've had my theories about that, and I feel like I've discussed that in earlier videos, so I'm not going to go in too deep on it. But the Horsemen have also been referenced in a piece that we saw earlier on, which is Cable's folder. I read all of that folder. I was so focused on it. And while there are a lot of horsemen listed, there's another name that I noticed that thought was interesting, especially with everything that happened in episode 4, and that is Fabian Cortez. Fabian Cortez is another mutant. He's been affiliated with One. He's been affiliated with the Acolytes, with Magneto in some ways, and he has also been affiliated with Sword more recently in the comics. He is all about manipulating powers. So he can sort of bolster people's powers and manipulate them. And in terms of Fabian Cortez's appearance here, there's another character that he's also been attached to that I'm curious if we may now see, and that is Joseph. And if you don't know Joseph, Joseph is the young clone of Magneto. It's basically young Magneto who appears and has this different name. And that is, that's Joseph. So I was thinking after Magneto passed, maybe we'll see him. He is pretty 90s. I kind of hope we see Joseph. So we'll see how it goes. And my biggest theory for the season so far is that Apocalypse is but a red herring. Sure, Apocalypse is cool, but what if the real villain is someone that reaches beyond even what Apocalypse can? What if the real villain is someone who exists at the very end of time, who we've already seen in this season, and that is Kang, or as you may know him so far, Ramatut. Now, I think Kang could very well be the big bad for the entire season, and that he's going to maybe poof out of existence for a bit, and near the end, he'll come back and reveal his own master plan. I think Kang could be it. And I think that's also interesting because the MCU more recently was gearing towards Kang being the big bad, and then that all ended up getting scrapped. And I'm wondering if the plans that they had for season 2 of X-Men 97 were at all connected to lining up with some stuff they wanted to do in the MCU or not. This could be some of that, or it could just be 100% its own thing. Either way, I'm very curious to see what they do with Kang. Kang is interesting because I never really thought of him as being like an insanely cool villain, but in recent years, getting more into the Kang lore in the comics and getting more into him through even the shows and even here, his appearance here, even Ramatut as one of his personas, I am very intrigued. And I gotta say, I think I'm becoming more and more of a Kang fan the more I get to know the character. So I'd love to see him come back and him be the real master manipulator behind this. That would be pretty cool. Although, you know, I still think Onslaught is on the horizon. I think Onslaught might not be a this season thing, but maybe next season, maybe like post credits at the end of season 2. We'll see. There's lots of good villains that are sort of around the ideas of what we're seeing here. Some who have appeared, some who may have not appeared yet but might later. Either way, I think there's lots of good things brewing here, and hopefully I will have more theories as the season goes on. That's where I'm going to leave it for this one, but I'd love to know what your theories are, so make sure you share those with me down in the comments below, and maybe if we do another theories video, I will even shout some of your theories out, and we can examine if they've appeared yet or how much potential I think they have. That's all I have for this one. I'll see you in the next one, and until next time, friends, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you love hearing me talk about X-Men, I love to do it. You can check out more of that by clicking over here.